You're listening to the Energy is Love podcast.
It's June.
Happy June.
Is June a good month?
It's summer.
Oh, that's true.
I like summer.
What's your favorite
Summertime.
season? I couldn't think of what they're called.
Spring and fall are my favorite seasons.
the
I think fall's
transitions.
probably my most favorite. I think fall's my most favorite.
I think fall's my most favorite too. That's
Yeah.
interesting, huh?
I really like the fall. I like the summer. And
Man.
you have the chance to, like, 'cause it's June. I can't know. I keep looking at this backdrop too. I don't know if somebody wins it. It might be my win it. I might win it.
In it to win it.
I might win this. You have a chance to win this June backdrop, but I am entering this contest.
Yeah, I haven't seen
This
it.
one's mine. You haven't seen it?
Yeah,
You see why I picked it now?
I hung it up today, and now I'm really looking at it.
Yeah.
And I really like it.
This is the one that, like, I got way early because I was so excited about.
Yeah, it's good. I like it a
Yeah.
lot.
I think I have to get me one. So
I
you can
think
win
so.
this one.
Right?
And I know, yeah,
Maybe.
this one goes up in my room.
Anyways, we're staring at our backdrop.
We
if you're
like
only
it. You
listening.
should go look at it.
Yeah, go to Instagram and find how you can win it. This one's awesome. They're all awesome. They're great.
They are all awesome.
It's been
and
a
I like
fun.
them all.
It's been a fun contest thing that we've done this year.
I think I've said, like, I haven't said I need to get one of all of them or I want this one or however. I haven't got one. Like, I've said it multiple times about multiple backdrops, but I haven't done it yet.
Yeah,
So I think I'm going to do it on this one, but I also might not.
we'll see.
It's okay to want. You don't have to have everything you want.
Maybe you'll get this one for your birthday.
Maybe. Well, that's a ways away.
Well,
Is it my
maybe
unbirthday?
if it's for your June birthday.
What about my unbirthday?
When is that?
It's every day that's not my birthday. I can have a present 364 days a year and then my birthday.
You're cute.
I'm just kidding. I would not be able to handle that.
So, babe, what are you working on?
What am I working on?
Mm-hmm.
In what aspect? I'm working on several things in different areas.
What are you working on when it comes to self-help, self-growth, expansion,
What are you
evolution?
working on?
I'm working on chakra healing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I'm working on mantras.
Yeah.
I have a bunch of mantra reminders scheduled, so they'll be coming in over the next
Sweet.
6 to 7 days.
Okay.
Hold on, I'll read you one. I can't
it.
ever remember them. It's so funny how squirrely my brain is. So my mantras as of right now are, it is safe for me to be here. The earth supports me and meets my needs. I love my body and trust its wisdom. See, I can't even reading it. I can't get it out. I am immersed in abundance. I am here and I am real.
Beautiful.
Yeah, those are some things I'm working on.
Yeah.
How about you?
I've got one of those on my phone that I wrote out. It's my background on my phone.
A mantra?
Mm-hmm.
Let's hear it. Or not.
I go embarrassed. Ooh, I don't know if I can. I feel like it's okay.
Is it too personal?
It's okay. I will share it, and it's good. I am happy. I am healthy. I know me. I got this. I am centered. I know what I need to do. I have value. I know me. I can make anything happen. I am connected. I believe in me.
I love that.
And that's on my phone to see your time, but it changes. I have, because you asked the question yesterday if I had any. And I've got like Ho'oponopono that I really like, but I have, depending on where I'm at during the day and what day it is, I have different themes. And I have a theme right now. So I have like standard things that I can look at, but I have like whatever I need to get me through the day. So I have themes, and right now,
What's your theme right now?
That one is personal. That one I'm keeping right now because it's helping me through a tough time, and I need to just keep saying that to myself right now.
Good.
So,
How would you explain mantras to somebody that doesn't understand or hasn't ever heard of them before?
well, I guess like the first thing that's come to my mind is a power phrase, but it's not just like a power phrase. It's an encouragement phrase. It's a centered. It's something that you can say to yourself to help. It's like an uplifting vibration that you're changing, or you're including, or you're just bringing something into your space that's going to help wherever you are, whether you're trying to implement happiness or security or safety or just the strength to keep going. Are you serious? I feel like it.
Keep going.
Yeah. I try so hard.
You do so good.
I don't. I cannot ever get this mic right.
Truthfully, you get the mic right every single time. It's my obsession.
Your obsession?
So you're not doing anything wrong. It's my obsession.
My obsession. Song. I'm not going to worry about it then.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it. If it's your obsession and you're going to fix it,
then
also,
you don't have to stress about it.
I can hear it. It does sound better. Then it's okay. Are you comfortable just fixing my mic and realizing that mic placement may not be one of my superpowers?
Absolutely.
Okay. I'm okay if you adjust my mic then.
And then you don't have to feel shamed that I'm adjusting your mic for you.
And I'll be prepared for it, because it's also like intimidating when all of a sudden somebody's like reaching right for your face. You're like in a thought and here's a hand coming. You're like, you're in my bubble. It surprises me, but now we have this agreement.
How long have you used mantras?
How long have I? Sporadically. Honestly, okay, here's a little truth bomb. I've used mantras, or I guess the flip side of mantras, for a very long time, because you can have like the flip side. Hear me out.
What's the flip side?
The flip side is the negative self-talk.
Okay.
Is the things that go through your head. It's that chatter. It's that voice that says like.
Are those ego mantras?
Those are ego mantras. I like that. The ones that's like, you're like, I'm not good enough. Why did you even try? You're like all the things that I'm not going to actually say, because those are kind of intense and make you feel like crap in your belly. But I've, had the power of those for a very long time. The positive aspect of it, where I've included, and it's like, it's been like, gosh, we'll say a decade, because I remember like trying to like going to like, it's got to be over a decade then, because like driving to Salt Lake, going to like old jobs and trying to like remind myself why I'm doing these things in the hard, and that does not mean that I have used mantras like consistently. I'm like, I'm not a daily mantra user for the past decade or so. It's been a thing that's came into my space sporadically before I like had awareness. Like I wasn't going into Salt Lake knowing that I was using a mantra or that I was trying to. It just happened. So it was like that positive. So mantras are positive self-talk and encouragement. So using these things that I would just say over and over again, and then try to, I don't think I've really had awareness of that until this moment. So I'm kind of sitting in that of like, oh, this has been a thing.
Been using them for a while.
This has been a thing before I understood. That's pretty cool. I didn't really, like, I don't know how, like, I feel that tight, like my bones are starting to feel weird. I'm like, I don't know how to, okay, whew, how about you? Mantras, you talk.
You talk. I like the awareness or the idea that it's like the negative self-talk is those ego mantras, right? Like if the ego is designed to, who knows what the fuck it's designed to do other than drive us crazy. Keep us safe in its fucked up way of keeping us safe. But all that negative self-talk is just the mantra of the ego and how it continually keeps itself safe with, you're a piece of shit, you're a piece of shit, you're a piece of shit, you're a piece of shit. Way to go, loser. Way to go. Look at that. Failed again. All that negative self-talk. Yeah. I can feel that. I can hear that. So consciously, I haven't been using mantras really at all.
Consciously, maybe.
Yeah.
What about your subconscious?
Well, like subconsciously, I'm trying to think of, I remember a time period in my life, maybe around the teenage years, where I started to think that I could do anything. Where it was like, I had this, I guess I could call it a mantra of like, there isn't anything I can't do. I just haven't learned it yet.
That's totally a mantra.
Where it was like,
That's
as soon as do you know what I mean? Like I looked at everything as this thing of, I looked at everything from the perspective of, oh, I can do that. I just have to like learn how to do that. I just have to, you know, there wasn't anything I couldn't do. I just had to learn it. I just had to figure it out. I had to experience it. So I always had this kind of underwriting thing.
You've got decades of mantra.
Well,
look at you.
That's one way to look at it, right?
Yeah, it is.
I guess I can look at it that way. I will look at it that way. I am looking at it that way.
you got decades of mantra use and experience, and that's beautiful.
Now, this last little bit, as I've been trying to incorporate them into meditation, into just everyday life, man, do I feel like I'm failing.
Do you feel like you're failing?
Yeah, I feel like I can't remember them. I feel like I completely forget the concept, where it's like somebody reminds me, hey, you know, use a mantra. And I'm like, oh yeah, that's a good idea. I should do that. And then I'm like, damn it, I'm not doing that. And so I like the idea that it's something, it's positive self-talk. It's a way to like focus the mind and the energy into a positive vibration, depending upon what the statement is or because it's not just it's positive self-talk, right? It's a song, it's a prayer.
Yeah. I got Steph's song written under mine.
Yeah.
Like holding on to things for support.
Yeah. It's something that, I think they're incredibly helpful.
Have you had awareness of like, have you ever thought before about like you said, the ego mantra? Have you thought about that as negative self-talk being just the reflection, the opposite, the shadow of a mantra?
Mm-mm.
I haven't either.
No,
that like came to
it.
me. I mean, maybe I've heard it before and I just didn't know, and then it pops up here because you know how memories can come out like ideas sometimes, but I can't pinpoint where I have heard it described that way before.
You know, it's interesting to think of them that way too.
Right?
So then it becomes like if we have ego mantras and that negative self-talk, it's just like any other mantra in a sense. It's passed down, it's handed down from generation to generation. Like there are...
And from like person to person, like somebody could have like said this to you and then you are like, oh, you embody it. This is now my truth. And now that becomes your mantra of doubt, of negative, the flip side.
Yeah. Yeah. And even just because we've talked a lot lately about like the programs that we're given and the idea that like, I mean, you were talking a little bit about them this morning with your dream last night. And the program around fear. Yeah. And the fear, how many times can I say the program around fear? You know, the fear program.
I think it was just once. You're good.
In my head, I realized I was elaborating and trying to explain it further. And I had already explained it with the first sentence. Okay. So it didn't need to be elaborated on. But think about the mantras in association with that program. Okay. With the fear program, the fear of everything, you know, you have to be fearful of this, you have to be fearful of that, don't do this, don't do that. All of those mantras that the ego will state and say and use and create in order to keep you afraid, in fear, right? To keep you in fear. But really what's the ego doing, right? It's trying to keep you safe.
Trying to keep you safe. Yeah, I heard a thing recent. Sorry, keep going.
No,
I'll come back to it. No, I think I interrupted your thought.
You didn't interrupt my thought.
Are you sure?
I'm 100% sure.
Because I just like squirreled and thought popped into my head and I started speaking, which is...
It's okay. Go ahead.
Okay, so we also have squirrels. I heard a thing recently that was... Oh, did I seriously I think I forgot it. Hold on. Okay, I got it back. I was like, Jesus! Because like how the ego's design is simply... to keep you alive. The ego is about self-preservation, to keep you alive in any way, form. And in any way, form. That's fine. I'm just going to keep going. And so the fear programming that you're speaking of, and the thing that I heard is how like people choose to live, and always like afraid, and all of like everything that they do in life is about being afraid and keeping themselves safe.
Yes.
So the question that came, I'm doing a terrible job because, you know, whatever.
You're doing
It's
great.
fine. I'm doing my best. This is my best and I'm bringing it. It's all right if it's not the best of normal, or maybe it is. Who knows? This is it, folks. This is my prime. But it's like you have an option. You have choices. And would you rather live a very, like, being in fear and live a long, miserable life, or a shorter, happier life? And that just hit because I could see the contrast. I could see like real life events and was like, and the thought of like really sitting with that and realizing that you might be agreeing to take time away, to take the risks. Like because you're supposed to be here, right? You're supposed to be here, like the longevity, prolong all the people that need. And like there is like that, but you also get to live. Anyways, I don't know. That just hit me and I'm sitting with that. Would you rather live a long, miserable life or a shorter, happier one? And shorter, happier doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to live a shorter life. You might live a really long, freaking happy life. You're just like, are you willing to let go of, like hanging on to the longevity? Are you willing to let go and be willing to take risks and do the things that bring you joy? And I feel like I misinterpret the way you're staring at me. I'm like, oh, I'm not making any sense. I'm stammering all over. This is one of those conversations where you're like, I don't know what you just said.
No, you're making a lot of sense.
Yeah.
I would argue that fear keeps, I would argue that rather than what you've said, would you rather live a short, scared, afraid life, or would you rather live a long,
Oh, yes.
because I feel like fear
Shorten.
right.
Oh my
it
God.
constricts.
Yes.
Like think about the people and the individuals that live their life in
Kaboom.
fear. They're always going to be in this constricted way of living, and like emotionally, physically, mentally, the toll that takes on the body is going to shorten the lifespan.
It does.
As opposed to breaking free from fear and living a long, fearless life.
Happy life. And then it's come full circle. And now you finished like, yes, I would like, that's
So,
what I would like to do.
Is that what you would like to
That's what I yes.
do? What are your biggest fears? Or one of your biggest fears?
I am way too raw to have that conversation today.
Okay. Are you able to have the conversation around death and the fear of death and dying?
Yeah, I think so.
Is that one that you experience, sit with, face on a regular basis?
On a regular basis. No, I'm not sure. There's a lot of convoluted there. Are there times when death is a constant in my space and my processing of and thinking of and all the ways that those thoughts can come? Yeah. But is it something that I sit with on a regular basis? No. But there's not regular basis, but there's times it is more of but it also comes in many different ways of whether it's something that I'm facing, whether it's my own, whether it's somebody else's.
If
like
you were
positive,
to die,
negative, like.
If you were to die tomorrow,
Yeah.
how do you think you would go? Like, how do you
think I would go? In a blaze of glory.
How do you feel like you would go into death?
If I was to go
would
tomorrow?
Would you go into death fearful and remorseful and longing for the life that wasn't lived or the experiences that weren't had? Or would you go into death and peace and understanding of the transition of what's next? Or perhaps both?
Well, there's definitely other options than those two.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are not the only two options. Did one come to you?
Yeah.
Maybe we should talk about it on the podcast. Or not.
Boy, I'm pretty vulnerable right now. This is like stuff that, like, why are you bringing this up? There's also like, yeah, there's other aspects that you can go into. So if I went today or tomorrow, well, I don't know. We'll just say today because you never know what tomorrow is. You only know what today is. If I went today, if I went right now, if I just went right now, I'd be okay. I'd be okay.
You think you'd be all right going
yeah.
into it?
Yeah, I'd be okay. I could just and be okay. Tomorrow I might be like, wait a minute. You know, who knows? Yeah.
When you think about it, is it something...
What about you?
When I think about it, I remember growing up, because I was a little bit reckless. That's the nicest way to say what I was. I was extremely reckless from a very early age. And I would confront and face death in some way, shape, or form. It felt like over and over and over again. And eventually I got to the, oh man, I'm going to settle in here.
Settle in.
Eventually I got to the point with it where I felt like I was fine with death.
Yeah.
I didn't fear it. It wasn't something that haunted me or something that I was concerned with, or I would do all of these incredibly reckless things and thought that in some way, shape, or form, I think there was like some subconscious way that I was thinking that I was continually challenging death and showing it like, see, you can't scare me. I'm not afraid. Look at all these things that I do. And I mean, truthfully, that was like, I think just now I'm starting to not do that anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Like maybe this year. And I think it's twofold. I think that is a part of it that is like confronting it and looking at it and showing it that I'm not afraid. And in that way, shape, or like in some way that was me controlling something.
Yeah.
Like controlling the uncontrollable, right? I don't know if I've had like some innate fear of death my whole life. But I have definitely been, gosh, babe, what do you think it is? Is it just my ego that's convinced me that I'm not afraid of death? Because I think about the things that I've done. And I don't know if I've ever been quote unquote afraid to die. But is that just like some damaged, broken part of me? Or is that some ego boosting? So if I think about myself from like a very young age, very little, very small, right? Little boy with no self-esteem and just really sad and broken and hurt and traumatized, it would kind of make sense that I would create some persona of me that was fearless in the face of even the most extreme things, right? And what's more extreme than confronting and facing death? And so I would always do things that I think were confronting it and facing it and pushing up against it and, you know, becoming very, very comfortable in those experiences. What do you think that is? Like, I'm genuinely asking. I want your take.
Well, Well, there's high roads and low roads, right?
Uh-huh.
So we look at information that we have now, what we know in regards to like Tantra and releasing that, like confronting that so it doesn't control you. So you have the power in that situation. It's not necessarily a power, but you're not living in fear. If you're not afraid of it, then it's not confining you and controlling you. It doesn't have power over you.
Okay.
And then there's, low roads of seeking for a release and trying to show like how strong you are, how powerful you are, that the pain isn't like that. That's a lot of trauma coming up too. And being able to like have a release, have an option of a release of an escape, and being like, I'm not afraid of anything. Nothing can hurt me. You can't hurt me. If I'm not afraid of death and death can't hurt me, then any power that anybody else had over you has no power and ability to hurt you because they did not.
Okay.
So high roads, low roads.
That makes sense. That was the thing I was trying to figure out, was like, what would be the impetus for that type of behavior? And that makes sense, right? Control.
Yeah. Adrenaline junkies, in a sense, will like break it down for just that little bit, are usually outrunning something.
No, I see that.
Yeah.
Like, I get that part of it. I'm just like, what is the relationship to death? Because it's truthfully never been something that I've cared about.
Yeah.
But I don't think that's because I'm just so enlightened and like, oh, I did it.
Yeah.
No, I think it's very much a traumatized
escape route.
Yeah, where, like you said, right, I don't have control over anything, so I'll take control over this thing. And look, I'm not afraid of this, which means if I'm not afraid of dying, then nothing else can touch me.
Yeah.
Like nothing can hurt me. Right? I can confront that fear over and over and over and over again. And I come out unscathed, unfazed, like nothing affects me, nothing hurts me. So that's not healthy.
No.
So now I think about, what is my relationship with death now? And how do I feel about it now? I don't want to die.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I'm not avoidant from it. I definitely am not, I don't have risk-taking behavior much anymore. Every now and then it pops up a little bit, but it's not really anywhere near what it used to be.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Just not even close. And I'm not interested in death. I'm very interested in life. Like I don't want to die. I'm not afraid to die, because I do truly believe that it isn't the end. I don't think it's anything other than just a transition period, right? It's an evolutionary growth period.
Yeah.
And evolution is hard, growing is hard, transitions are hard, and they're scary at times. Mm-hmm. But part of me is very excited for what's on the other side.
Yeah.
But I'm also I'm very excited to be here.
Yeah.
I'm very excited to experience this and to live here and have more of this.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's really good.
What else?
What else?
Yeah.
I gotta tell you, I'm in my head a little bit, so.
What do you want to say? What you're swimming with, or talk about what you're swimming in?
Well, it's this whole conversation. It's like I don't know what's in the air, right? I'm definitely
Phil Collins.
right. I'm definitely like swimming in some stuff right now, and like things come and go, and I can look at all the battles that I've the internal battles that I've, been in my, like, the existence. But like, it's in the air right now. It's like, you just heard Phil Collins again. And like Asher's picking up on things. And part of it was like, he's worried about pets and people in his life. And, part of me is wondering, like, is he picking up on me? Is he picking up, not like, is he worried that I'm in it? He's not. That's not like my thought process and where I'm at. And, cause I'm deep in it right now. And like, so he's saying those things and you're saying those things. I'm like, okay, am I picking up on other people, or am I like oozing out this energy that other people are picking up on? And I got like, what's the planets doing? So I know Mars is in Aries, but that's supposed to be like, what's going on right now? Maybe I can just be like, I like finding reasons, that give me space. When you're like, oh, this is coming up, like this is going on in the world. Like obviously no stuff's going on in the world, but like in the universe. And it's like, it's okay. It helps me like unchain myself. So when I feel like I'm like being pulled under in the chains and like, here you go, when you can like correlate it with something that is beyond you, then it's like, it's okay. I can take the chains off. I can take a breath. So I like those things when you can find a little bit of reason, or you can see like a little bit of hope, just like those kind of, so I like to look to those things. But I don't know, like something's in the air. I don't know. I'm going to go.
Do you feel like in regards to death, something's in the air?
I do.
Yeah,
it's pretty, like I'm seeing like the people that are the closest to me are being very vocal about it. And I'm being very in my head about it, but I'm not being very vocal until you start asking me these questions. So that's why I said, like, am I picking up on the energy that's out there, or my next fear, my ego that says, oh no, I'm the problem. I'm like oozing this and it's affecting people around me. So like my emotions are poisoning people around me, which is what the ego starts to do.
The ego death, right? The death of the ego. What do you think that is?
I think that's the ego doesn't die.
Right.
Yeah. So.
I mean, that's what we think. That's what we believe.
Right.
Not only does it not die, but it's not something that you should try to kill or rid yourself of.
Like that's what the goal, like not personal goal, but that's like with the theoretical goal that goes out there, killing your ego, ignoring your ego, death of the ego. What if separation from your ego?
What if the death of the ego is real spiritual awakening? So when you have the death of the ego, it isn't like, it's not that it suddenly is no longer a part of you and you have separated from it and you're no longer controlled by it, right? It's not something that is dead and gone and you now move forward without your ego, but it is the awareness of like true awareness of the ego. Like it's one thing to read about it. It's one thing to think about it. It's one thing to kind of start to contextualize and understand it and communicate and recognize the ego. It's a completely different thing to accept it.
Right. Like death of it is actually the connection of it.
Yeah. Death of the ego.
Of
that would feel like death to the ego.
It would.
Like if the ego is this thing that has been trying to control, manipulate, and rule over you your entire life. And then suddenly you turn and look at it and you say, what's up? How are you doing?
Hi, friend.
What do you need? And then it's like, what? And then it starts like scrambling to try to, it like throws down the smoke bomb to try to escape. And you're like, I see you still. You haven't gone anywhere.
I'm moving very, very still.
Totally, right?
You cannot see me.
And that, I bet, feels like death to the ego, where suddenly it's seen.
Yeah.
Right? It's witnessed. It's observed. You can see it.
Well, that totally made, like, how many times, like, we were talking, like, the last podcast of being, like, in the crowd. For me, being in the crowd was, like, safer and more people. But it was, like, when it was individualized that it was scary. So I can put that into context easily.
So, like, I think about it in the context of, like, ego and shadow work and how they're kind of one and the same in some regards, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's almost like shadow work is dealing with the wounds of the ego, because
Right.
the ego is constantly trying to get you to not look at its shadow,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like maybe the individual, you and me, we have a shadow, and then the ego has a
And it
shadow.
has a shadow.
And the ego is constantly trying to be like, party over here, party over there. And suddenly you're like, hey, dude, I see you. Let's talk about the shadow that's
Yeah.
behind you. And the ego's like, no. And then it like crumbles like the Wicked Witch and the Wizard of
I'm
Oz.
melting. Well,
Right.
no, it doesn't like crumble. It just like,
But then it's
it gets
reborn.
a hug.
But it would feel
Right.
like death to the ego.
It would feel like, that's what I'm saying. It's try like when you don't want to be touched, when somebody offers you love, real love. Not,
Yeah.
I don't know. So many things. I'm sorry. I'm getting uncomfortable.
And then it's reborn.
Yeah.
Because
That
the death of the
phoenix.
ego, just like the death of us, isn't the end.
Yeah.
It's just the transition and the evolution into the next thing.
Makes total sense.
Do you think you can
Transitions.
convince the ego to work with you? Or do you think you'll constantly be like parenting it as a godlike overlord in a sense of like, I see you, ego? Or does the ego at some point become a symbiotic relationship with you where it understands that in working with you, it actually achieves more than it does in
Yeah.
working against you?
I can hear your ego take like, haha,
I
we'll make
know.
a big word in control. La la la.
Exactly.
So that felt
whole
that
statement
felt
of
very
what I just
ego,
said
yeah.
could have been straight from the ego.
I feel like it was. I think I don't know. I don't know. I like to think that there's like it's got a purpose. It's got a purpose. And I don't know, but I'm curious. Like, do I think that there's a healthier way to do it? There's a healthier relationship between you and ego, or self and ego. I don't know. I think I'm in my head hard. I do. I think oh fuck, I am in my head. I am struggling so hard to keep going. And, wow. Yes, yes, I do. I think there's a healthy connection, a healthy relationship where you do work with it, and the ego will always be your ego, and it's always going to play that role. It's always going to have that thing that pops up, and there's a healthy dynamic that does get to take place, but it doesn't mean that it's something that once that healthy dynamic takes place, that it's the ego, the shadow aspect of it, you'll never have to face again. It doesn't just like go away. It's like the ego is always the ego.
Yeah.
And self is always self. And there is a way to coexist in a healthy way. But nobody disappears. Like the ego doesn't just transform and you don't just disintegrate, or maybe you do, who knows?
Do you think that healthy way of coexisting with your ego, do you think that is up to you, like the self, the individual, the higher self? Or do you think that, because I'm in my head too much as well, right? I'm trying to figure out this thing. And I would love I love the idea that somehow we could have a symbiotic relationship with it.
Yeah.
Where it wasn't any longer what feels like trying to manipulate and control and destroy. It's like the ego is set on self-destruct mode. It's this whole thing of like, it goes over and pushes the button. This spaceship will self-destruct in 10 seconds. Then you like have to hurry up and go reset it. And you're like, stop it. Ego, I told you, we're not blowing the ship up. And it's like, okay. And then you turn your back and you go about your
And it's
business.
got that evil smile.
And then it just goes over. And the next thing you know, this ship will self-destruct. Damn it, ego. Over and over and over again.
Yeah.
Or what if, think about this, right? The ego is so afraid of dying. It's so afraid of death. Like it's just all about survival. But the way that it goes about surviving feels like the death of us. Because all of its mantras, all of its self-talk that is so negative feels like despair. It feels like death. It feels like torture. It feels like we're being, pulled apart by this negative self-talk and this ego that is just destroying us from the inside out.
Yeah.
What if that's one of its jobs? And the purpose of that job is to prepare us for death.
Maybe.
So like in a really loving way, it's preparing you for the inevitable. Even though like the ego thinks that it won't die.
Yeah.
Maybe.
What if the ego doesn't? Your consciousness doesn't die. Your body
what if we
does.
carry it around with us even after death? Like part of me hopes that when I die, I'm done with this ego.
Right?
What if that's not the case?
What if that's
What
not?
if we brought it with us? Oh, fuck, I think we did.
Probably.
I don't think it has anything to do with this physical body or this brain or this like present moment
Yeah.
dimensional thing that we're in. I think it does. I think it comes with us everywhere. I think it's a part of our subconscious. It's a part of our consciousness.
We should definitely try to make friends with our egos.
It totally is.
Yeah.
Did you ever think of it that way? Or
Until
did you
this
think
moment?
did you think of it as something that was here in this realm and like this body that stems from like our programming and
I
our conscious
didn't.
mind?
Like where I just said, like it was part of the consciousness. I don't think I had awareness before that. It was definitely something that I didn't think it was just a part of this realm, but I didn't think that it wasn't. I just thought of it in retrospect to being a part of this realm. Like, so this is like the challenge now. Actually, no. I didn't think that it would be, I did think of it as more of this realm.
Because somehow when we die and transition,
Then we have all the,
right,
like the ego is away and then
it's just all love and light and glory, enlightenment, right?
Yeah.
Transcendence.
And the transcendence is the acceptance,
Perhaps.
right?
Because if we think about like we die, I mean, this whole idea of death and going to heaven and, you know, this enlightenment and everything becomes this glorious thing. Like the universe does not exist in that way.
Yeah.
The universe has to have light and dark. Otherwise, we have no context for light and we have no context for darkness. So it would make sense that our conscious mind, our subconscious, our soul travels around with both. It travels around with light and it travels around with dark. And the ego is just the darkness.
Yeah.
And what if it's so afraid of what it is, right? It's so afraid of darkness, meaning death, that it's constantly trying to protect us from dying. Because it's like, you don't want to come here. This place is freaky as fuck. So I'm going to do everything I can to keep you from death. But in doing so, because we're the light side, right? We're the love. And it feels like, shut the fuck up, ego. You're just trying to kill me with all this negativity my whole life. And it's like, no, I'm trying to keep you from this place.
I don't know.
Am I spun out too far now?
I'm sure there's lots of people that are like, yes, Craig, that's absolutely what it is. No, like I'm also, the only thing that I can keep hearing too. So I'm not following you. Cause like, is there the light and the darkness in the universe? Yes. I'm following that. But the only thing that like I can hear is, oh, that takes away the escape. Like the, maybe that's too, like the transition, right? The relief that comes.
Yeah, from death.
Yeah. Like that takes the relief away. It takes away your, like, there goes the like the escape hatch, right? That like that, you know, there's the end of suffering.
Oh, that's
and
a big
it's
one,
like,
babe.
well, fuck. Like how many like to sit with that? That's,
I have that feeling sometimes,
yeah.
but I like the feeling of, gosh, there's a part of me that's looking forward to death because I'll be free of all this other stuff.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of times where I confront it sometimes, and it's in dark times, it's in depression, it's in really heavy times where I'm just like, I'm not going to kill myself because I do really want to be here, but fuck, man, I'm so excited for the breath that's going to come.
Yeah.
Where I feel like once I die, suddenly I will just be free from all of this, like you said, the suffering and the stress. And like, I think about our children and I think about how much I worry about them. and how much I stress about them. And when I die, I will no longer have that stress and that worry and that anxiety, because I will then be somewhere else where I'll see the bigger picture and I'll be connected to them in love all the time. And so I won't have to worry about all of this other stuff. And I just want
all the pain
freedom,
is gone.
all the pain and all the suffering.
Fear. Yeah, all the suffering.
Right? I think we're hitting on something real big.
Yeah.
Because maybe like we can have that freedom now.
Yeah.
We can experience that experience now without having to die.
Yeah.
And if we don't, not meaning a pass or fail, but perhaps if we continue to carry that suffering into and through death, we'll still have it and come back and come back and come back. Because they talk about suffering, right? The freedom from suffering.
Yeah.
Enlightenment is that.
They do.
Oh, can we be free from it?
Can we be free? We can. I think we can. Do I know how? Not yet.
Do you want to be free from it?
Do I want to be free from suffering? Of course. I don't want to suffer. Of course I want to be free from suffering. I don't want suffering for myself. I don't want suffering for people I love. I don't want but then just like not wanting people you love to suffer is suffering yourself, because you're still like suffering, worrying about their suffering.
Exactly.
So yeah, of course I want it.
Well,
how many people like wanting to not suffer, and then there's also another aspect of like the ego part where you go is how do you get to like first believe you don't deserve to suffer? Because so much of that is like the self-punishment.
Yeah.
And keeping yourself in those like in a suffering state of mind, because first of all, because you don't know how to do it any different. And then if you do get ideas on how to do it different, do you deserve it? So then believing that you deserve it to take the steps and not like keep those, the ego mantra in that negative. I don't know. So many layers here.
I think we've solved it.
Did you? Okay, well tell me then, because I didn't come
No,
to the...
just go back and listen to this episode. I think we solved it.
Okay. I'm like, well, I missed the point then.
You get it. You get it.
You get it.
Yeah,
Yeah, we'll move on. Get on.
They get it. We don't
Move
have
on.
to go over it anymore. You got it figured out, folks. Just go back and listen. If any part of it didn't make sense, just go back and rewind. It makes sense in the end. So suffer
Write it
ego,
in the comments, but don't write in, like, don't question like
No.
the answer, because...
Yeah, no, the truth of it is just be okay with dying. That's all.
I think like our entire intro of this episode is going to be like trigger warning, trigger warning, trigger warning, trigger warning.
Do you think death is really triggering for people?
I think it's very triggering for people who are feeling a lot of pain by it, and I think it's triggering like this conversation for somebody who is like if they're struggling with suicidal ideology or thoughts, ideation, thank you. If they're like feeling like if they're struggling right now, then yeah, like this whole conversation is one big, hopefully it brings some breath to them, and hopefully it, sparks desire and willingness to be here. But also, like, you never know what people hear when they're in those states of mind. So definitely some trigger warnings and the numbers and the reach out and all this stuff.
We don't talk about death near as much as we should.
We should. Yeah.
And I'm not just saying you and I.
People.
Yeah. Our society and our culture, Western society, right? They talk about how it plays a much different role in other cultures and other societies and things like that, where it's much more, it's just handled very differently. And it's something that isn't necessarily, avoided or not talked about or not experienced. It's something that is seen and experienced on a regular basis.
Yes.
And then you have to wonder, what's the right way?
What's the
right?
There's no right way.
Confronting the death and seeing the death and experiencing the death and living in the death and understanding the death, or avoiding it,
I don't know.
hiding from it.
I have to log back in. I'm like, what is happening in Scorpio?
We did.
I wanna
It's
see
not in
what-
Scorpio. It's Facebook came out with a thing where you have to have double authentication or whatever they call it, 2-person or.
I'm not looking on Facebook.
What are you looking on?
I'm seeing where, like, if there's anything going on right now in Scorpio, because Scorpio is very like the taboo and death and like this. I'm like, what's going? Is there anything happening in Scorpio right now for it to be such a hot topic?
It is. Could we approach the topic? Could we sit with death the same way that we sit with life and sit with love?
Could we? I think we can.
Can we be in both spaces and be present with both of them and see the beauty in both of them and the darkness?
It depends on the day. And
So
yes.
think about the darkness that exists in death that we avoid and we don't want to feel.
Mm-hmm.
Is there the same amount of darkness in love?
Uh-huh.
So then that must mean that all the light and all the joy and all the happiness that's in love must exist in death as well.
Yes, sir. You know, interesting.
Did you find an answer?
No, the only thing that's like, because that could be, right? And we'll get into more later, but there is like the shadow aspect of it. So, I think I've talked on the lives about North Node being in Taurus and the South Node, which is like the past and where we've been being in Scorpio right now, having that duality. But the majority of the planets right now are in opposition of Scorpio. So it's like we're having this opposition of, like, it's not a focus on it, but we're having an opposition of this energy. And I don't know. We'll look more. I'm not going to turn
Initially,
this into...
what does that feel like to you?
Initially?
Yeah. Does it make sense?
I'm so uncomfortable. Initially, I'm like, oh, there's this opposition. So yeah, it makes sense. Like the focus isn't all right here, but the questioning, the conflict, the like this opposing energy is taking you in like different directions, and it's this like this pulling separation of them, like here or here, and so it's this conflict, essentially a conflict. So I could feel that, but also it feels like where we're getting curious about it as we are using, I don't know. I'm having a hard time speaking because I like, if I'm going to take the positive aspect, it's hard. So with the opposition, you're going to be struggling with it in the darkness and feeling like the challenging aspect of it. And then it's up how that energy happens, as we say, high roads and low roads. So being willing to look at it from a different angle as opposed to swimming in the sunny side of it. So I guess we're on the dark side of the moon looking at it in a sense. But
Is there anything that's been sparked for you during this episode that may help you look at things differently?
Yeah, you just took the relief out, the relief in the escape plan. I'm looking at that the escape plan, like,
that you've been holding on to. Now that's gone.
Yeah. That's a new awareness.
You don't like it, huh?
No. Do you? And it might not be gone. And it might be, we don't know. We don't know until we're there.
Yeah.
But just that thought of like, oh.
It's such a great mystery, isn't it?
Right?
It's such a great mystery. The idea, like the concept of life and death and what happens when we die, what happened, like all of it. It's just such a great mystery.
Yeah.
It may be the whole, like if life is a movie and this is just one big massive drama that plays out over the course of 100 years on Netflix, and we're in season 46 right now, and the name of this movie is Life and Death, and we just get to continually figure out the mystery of it all.
I gotta tell you,
What's that?
I'm like, I had such an ADHD moment.
Let's hear it.
I was like looking at that and trying to like pull it up and getting where I'm thinking, and you were talking And then I try to answer your questions and I'm like, I don't know what you just said. And I'm trying to like organize my thoughts, and I'm feeling emotions from here and information, and then trying to talk. And then I'm also afraid of answering like an idiot because I really didn't hear. So I just like had all of that play out. And I'm like, God, I hope I answered that right, because I'm also like, my brain is squirreling out hard.
Yeah.
And I just feel like I was hearing you, and I was hearing you the entire time you were talking while I was doing that. And then all of a sudden it was like, I have no recall though. What did you like?
What just happened?
Like, so if I'm answering like really like, yeah.
Yes, I do think that Red Lobster is the best fast food chain restaurant out there.
I'm answering questions that I tried to like piece together from what I could recall, and like I tried to like reform, like I'm trying to like repatch basically. I can't even get my words to connect to come out what I thought was said, and it's okay. It's okay. It is what it is. This was ADHD at its finest, and it's totally fine.
Let's wrap up. I'm going to leave you with a final thought.
Okay. What about you? Has this sparked anything in you? Anything new?
Yeah, the Eagle mantras.
Yeah.
I like that concept. I'm going to sit with that a little bit more.
Yeah.
The idea of me, like my coping mechanism for facing death and running towards death, and kind of, it feels very childlike. It feels like you said, like a way to control things, right? If I can confront this fear and face this fear, then nothing else can hurt me. So I got to sit with that a little bit. Yeah, I don't know. It's brought up a lot for me to dwell on and think about and contemplate. It's interesting. Like you said, it's a topic that doesn't get discussed much, and should probably be discussed way more.
I don't want to say everybody, but pretty sure that like everybody is facing it. Like not just the fact that we're all going to die as a thing, but like they're rolling it around, whether fear of it or some way, and like their own. And you're like, I'm not I guess I'll just quit sugarcoating it. Like, especially like with your own escape, with your own death, in the way that you're fearful of it, and also sometimes looking forward to it, and how that can be very, like, it's so hard to talk about it. It's so hard to say, because if you say, hey, I'm having these thoughts, then you immediately get, thrown into a category, or like all these. Sometimes you just need to talk and realize it's okay to have these thoughts. Like, don't act on them.
Talking about death isn't necessarily suicidal ideation and or thoughts.
No, it's not. That's not what I'm saying.
That's what I'm saying you're saying.
Yeah. And like, but feeling it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you're feeling it, it's like, talk about it without, it doesn't mean that you're saying this is what I'm going to do, unless of course that's what you're saying. You're saying this is what I'm going to do, then that's a different conversation. But to have these things like turning and churning and like boiling over inside you, or just like sporadic thoughts, like wherever, just being able to talk about it can take the sting out. It can take there's just so much that can I think this is a conversation that is hard to have and can be scary to have, and can also be really healing to have. I don't know.
It's something that's coming to me now. Hold on, I'm just receiving this message.
Are you going to do your thing?
We glorify it so much.
Yeah.
In some ways. Like, I think about this thing that we do in society where I think in order to alleviate the fear of death, we associate it with being able to then see our loved ones again. Like, in death, you'll be reunited with the people that you've loved that have gone on before you. So in some way, shape, or form, it's like this. I mean, that's kind of like the thing that you tell your kid to make sure they're not afraid of the dark, right? Don't worry, it's dark now, but eventually you'll be able to reconnect with the people that have gone, like it's It's just a way to placate ourselves in trying to avoid dealing with that actual fear and the unknown. It's the ultimate.
Maybe.
It's the ultimate unknown.
It is the ultimate. Yeah, it's the ultimate unknown.
Right.
Yeah.
It's the ultimate mystery.
I think, and it's not like, oh, I have faith. It's not that, but there is connection. There is more. I believe there is more because of what I've experienced here. So it's not I don't have a blind faith. I don't have that whatsoever. But from experiences, I think there's more. I think there is connection. I think there is like, I don't think this is it. I just don't. And it's not I don't feel like it's not faith. It's just not faith. Do I have proof of anything? No, but I can't prove my experiences.
What would you call it then if it's not faith?
I guess my interpretation of faith is,
has to be religious based.
I guess so. A religious, like there's just like this belief because this is what you're supposed to do. You're just supposed to believe no matter what. And I don't believe because on a religion base, like I don't think there's like, if there's a heaven and there's some dude in a throne, I'm going to be so fucking surprised. like what? I don't even know how, like my brain won't, my ego, like just think about that. If the heaven stories are true and that's what you walk into and like the gates open, you're like, oh, like, holy fuck. Wow. I don't even know. I don't even know. My brain can't even just try to, of course, but I'm here. I don't think that's it. But I do think there's interactions and connection and not a like, oh my God, I'm so happy to see you.
When did you get here?
Like, oh, I was hoping I was going to run into you. Fluffy. Like I don't think it's like that. I don't know what it's like, but I believe because of what I felt here, what I've experienced. Like I'm not going to feel these things and experience these things for there to be nothing. Like it doesn't make sense. And maybe this
What if you're experiencing and feeling those things here?
Mm-hmm. Because it's only here and there is nothing.
It's only for this experience.
Wow. And then that's it. That could be it. Yep.
Yeah, perhaps that I'm feeling this and
Good
this
job.
knowingness, this thing that I have that tells me that there is something more and there's a connection. And then
It's just an experience for here.
It's just your ego.
Yeah, maybe. Huh. My ego created all of the, actually don't tell me that anymore because I already like fight with the fact of like experiences that I have and messages that I've like, oh, I'm wrong. This is just bullshit. So I already like, nope.
You're not receiving that message?
I'm not, because that I will only take that message as a way to hurt myself and to hold myself back. And I'm choosing to not accept that.
Cool.
So that is my shadow work of not letting that in.
Good job.
Thank you.
Did you just roll your eyes at me?
No, I just got like, let's get the fuck out of this
right?
conversation.
Okay, podcast over, everybody.
Hey.
Good luck. Let us know your thoughts on death. Send us a message or hit us up on social media. Put your comments in the comments below. We'll see you next week, where we'll be talking about something else.
Maybe.
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 Maybe. We'll see.
It's a mystery.